My wife left me after coming out, shattering my heart after years of living a lie, and now she wants her new partner to be the second mom to our son, replacing me, which I will never accept. I, 35 meters, was married to my ex-wife, 34 feet, for 7 years. 2 years ago, my ex-wife came out as a lesbian. This came as a complete shock to me. She and her partner were co-workers who had been having an affair since she joined the company a year before our divorce. We have a son together, 8 meters. This revelation left me heartbroken and devastated. I felt betrayed, as I had spent 7 years of my life with this woman, and it all felt like a lie now. When I confronted her, she told me that she had to live her truth and that she tried to suppress her identity because she didn't come to terms with it until she met her partner. When I asked whether she loved me, she told me that while she loves me, it's different from how she loves her new partner. This broke my heart even further. The divorce was quick, as she did not want anything from me, and we agreed to a 50-50 split of custody. However, I decided to go no contact with her and handle the custody transfer process through my sister, 27 feet, with whom I moved in after the divorce. I sold the house, and we mutually agreed that the excess money from the sale would be put into a college fund for our son in the future. I could not bear to stay in that house anymore, as it constantly reminded me of her betrayal. For context, she introduced her partner as her work friend, and I believed her. I had no reason to suspect anything, and they had several girls' nights. However, I now realize that they were probably using these as cover for their affair. For 6 months, I was in a depressive state because I didn't know where I went wrong. But this is one of those scenarios where nothing I could have done would have made it better. This realization made me even more depressed, and the fact that all the vows and little things she said at our wedding were just lies to keep up a ruse made it even worse. The two people who got me through this were my sister, who I am eternally grateful to for helping me with her nephew and supporting me while maintaining her career, and my college ex-girlfriend. Around 4 months after the divorce, we reconnected at a reunion, and she really helped me through the worst of it as a friend. Around a year after the divorce, we started officially dating, and I introduced her to my son. During all this time, my ex's partner had limited interactions with my son. This was not because of anything I said, but because my ex-wife wanted him to adjust to his new reality. My son is in that strange age where he understands what's going on but doesn't fully comprehend it. If you know, you know. He understands that mommy has a girlfriend and that his mom and I are no longer together. I'm pretty happy that he has come to terms with the divorce, especially since we didn't explicitly discuss LGBTQ+ topics. We agreed to address these topics when he's a bit older. Around 8 months ago, my ex said she was officially moving in with her partner and that they were engaged. At this point, I was still maintaining no contact with her except for brief conversations about our son. She invited me to the wedding, but I declined. They were planning to have a destination wedding in Spain, where her girlfriend lives. She wanted to take our son to the wedding, even though he would have to miss a week of school. She wanted him to meet her girlfriend's family as well. I told her that missing school for a week didn't make sense and suggested that she plan the wedding during a school vacation since she didn't yet have a fixed date. She argued that they were getting married as soon as possible and that the date would likely not align with his vacations. I eventually relented and agreed, as I didn't want to interact with her any further and it was well within her rights to have her son at her wedding. The problem started when my son came back after the wedding. He was supposed to stay with me since we have a flexible week on and week off custody arrangement. However, she wanted to take my son on her honeymoon so that he could bond with his new stepmother. I told her that she had already had 2 weeks with him, as she had custody for a week before the wedding, and that I wanted to spend some father-son time with him. I explained that I had taken vacation days for us to go to a motorcycle expo and build a Lego set, 2 things that my son absolutely loves. She argued that since our son's interactions with her partner had been limited due to her busy schedule, this was a great opportunity for them to bond. I told her that she had already had 2 weeks for him to get to know her partner. She replied that they were busy with the wedding and didn't have time. I finally told her that the custody arrangement was in place for a reason, and it was something I would not negotiate. She got angry and left. My son and I had a great experience. I even got him one of those kid-sized motorcycles since he liked them so much. Over the next few weeks, we returned to our week on and week off routine. One day, I found that my ex had posted a photoshoot of them and my son under the caption #lesbianmommies. I initially thought it was just a post and probably meant nothing, but it portrayed them as a family, and something about that did not sit right with me. When I got my son for the week, I asked him if his mom had been saying anything to him. He eventually admitted that his mother had been trying to convince him to call her partner mom. This was a shock to me, as I had never expected my ex to do this. Then again, I've been wrong about these things before. I asked him if that's something he wanted, and he told me that he feels much more comfortable calling her by her first name and that he feels weird calling 2 people mom. I told him it's okay and that he shouldn't feel pressured to do anything he doesn't want to do. I called my ex and asked her to meet up because this was serious and I wanted to discuss it. I confronted her about this, and she told me that since she and her partner were married, it's only natural for our son to have 2 moms now. I told her that it's not okay for her to try and convince him to call her partner mom because she is not his mother, doesn't have an active parenting role in his life, and that any major parenting decisions require the 2 of us. She argued that since my girlfriend and I were becoming serious, I might eventually want him to start calling her mom. I told her that even if we become serious, I won't try to convince our son to start calling her mom because he already has 2 parents and doesn't need more. Then she dropped the bombshell on me. She and her partner were hoping that, eventually, they could file for adoption. She said I would still be able to visit and see my son, but she wanted her and her wife to have legal guardianship because they wanted to build a new family with him. I told her absolutely not and that our partners have no say in our son's life. She accused me of being homophobic for denying her the right to a complete family, and I told her that while her life is her choice, our son's life has to be something we decide together. I ended the conversation there and told my son to let me know if his mother tries to force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. 3 weeks later, I found out that my ex had enrolled him in Spanish lessons, which he told me he hated doing. For context, my ex is Latin and her partner is Spanish, so they are more comfortable talking to each other in Spanish. We had previously decided to raise our son in English because it made sense at the time. She speaks English better than Spanish, and I don't speak any Spanish. When I discussed this with her, she told me that she wanted our son to connect more with his heritage. I said that I had no problem with that, but we had tried this several times before when we were married, and he had shown zero interest. She claimed this time might be different since he now has 2 Spanish speakers at home. I told her that I support bilingualism because 2 languages are always an advantage, especially for kids, but if he doesn't want to do it, there's no reason to force him. I even suggested trying another language. She then accused me of denying our son his roots and went on a tirade, accusing me of denying his identity and bringing up my supposed denial of her right to a family again. My girlfriend usually stays out of these matters, but she advised me to contact my lawyer and see what they can actually do. My lawyer told me that even if they send an adoption notice, I can contest it, and it would take something exceptional, like abandonment, for my contest to get rejected. My ex keeps posting our son as a part of her new family, and it's honestly started to trigger me. 2 weeks ago, I interacted for the first time with my ex's new wife after the divorce. She contacted me and asked to meet up. She told me that my ex had finally started to recover from the social trauma of coming out and building a new life with her and that I am now getting in the way of their happiness. She accused me of being emotionless and uncaring through our divorce and of guilt-tripping her into agreeing to my demands of 50-50 custody. She said I should just agree to the eventual adoption in a few years because she has always wanted a son and that I will still remain my son's dad and can still visit him. I told her that I don't care what her emotional state was during the divorce and that my demands were fair even to the most irrational person. I told her that if they want to create this image of a perfect family, then they should have another kid that has no connection to me. I feel like all this has started to affect my son more than anything. He is a lot less happy than he was just a few months ago, as we had started to adjust to this new reality. For context, since I know this is going to come up eventually, the emotional trauma of my ex coming out is basically the fact that her family effectively disowned her after coming out. Her parents don't talk to her anymore, while my son has plenty of interactions with his maternal grandparents when he's with me. Those 2 combined make significantly more money than I do alone. However, my ex-wife makes less money than I do, but her partner is in a senior position, so she has more stability. This is also an argument my ex-wife used when we discussed adoption, since they can then send our son to a private school and generally give him a better life. I don't know if this is a factor, but the recent elections may have caused this because they are worried that they might not be able to adopt soon. But they don't want to adopt my son now, but in a few years, so I doubt this to be true. Update 1. It's been crazy seeing everyone's reactions to the situation, and I wanted to share a quick update with you all. First of all, I'd like to clarify that my son and I have been going to therapy since the divorce. He was doing quite well until the whole mom saga happened. My in-laws disowned her after she came out. They were not even aware of the affair when she came out to them. They still spend time with my grandson under the condition that they don't badmouth my ex and don't preach their views to him. They agreed and said that they valued a relationship with their grandson over any political view they might hold. I have been a part of every interaction that they have had with him because I was worried they might say something. Thankfully, this has not been the case. Her extended family has said to me that they have all cut her off as well, some for the affair and some for her being gay. Our mutual friends also cut her off because of the affair. All of our mutual friends were my work buddies and their spouses/partners. I did not ask them to do anything, they came to the decision on their own. I was actually glad when she told me that she had made a friend on her own, as she used to complain about not liking her colleagues. We all know how that turned out. I'm pretty sure they're not planning to skip the country. I have all my son's documents, and we decided this during the divorce because she was still figuring out where to go, and since I was moving in with my sister, the chances of them getting misplaced were low. I have also had no demands for any documents, and she returned the passport to me when we came back. The whole adoption thing probably stems from the fact that my son has a very close relationship with his mother. The only times he has really complained to me are when she asked him to call her partner mom and when she made him take Spanish classes that he did not want. We did everything for him equally during our marriage, but I had to travel out of state to my parents frequently during COVID because they were sick with pre-existing conditions and couldn't take care of themselves. My sister was on an assignment abroad at that time. My sister also agreed with this. I listened to people and contacted my lawyer, who is also my friend, this morning. He told me the same thing as last time, that it would take something really unusual for the adoption process to go through, like child abandonment. He also said that they are a bunch of idiots who have no idea how the law works. He also told me that if the whole "we want to adopt him" thing is serious and if she is talking crap about me to my son and I can prove it, I could get custody. This has not been the case, as I've not heard my son say that his mom says bad things about me. This brought me a sigh of relief. I plan to contact my ex today with the following conditions. We both install parenting apps and document all interactions. No more mentions to me or my son regarding adoption or calling her partner mom. No more posting images of my son as a part of their perfect queer family, because frankly, I don't want my son's photos on the internet when he is so young. He can decide what he wants when he is older. I plan to talk to my ex in a couple of hours. Please let me know what you think about this. Update 2. So, I talked to my ex today. She was busy yesterday, and I wanted some more time to gather my thoughts. When we met, I put forth my demands. She told me that the parenting app idea seemed fine and that she had no problem with it. However, she became sad when I told her to drop the idea of adoption and calling her partner mom, as it's just not going to happen. She told me that her family had pressured her to settle down. I proposed after a year of dating, and I didn't know this, and getting pregnant so soon after getting married wasn't what she had in mind. She got pregnant 1.5 years after getting married. Is that soon? I don't know. She explained that she had been in the closet all her life because of her parents and thought marrying me would cause her feelings to subside. She said she was happy until she met her partner. She did go through postpartum depression after giving birth, but I didn't know she hadn't wanted to get pregnant so soon. She then explained that the reason they, her wife and she, wanted to adopt my son was because she wanted to start anew. She added that she was never truly happy during our marriage and that with her new wife, she could have the family she had always dreamed of. She said she didn't want my son to grow up resenting her for being a lesbian, as he doesn't have exposure to people like her apart from her and her partner. Look, I have to be honest here. I don't know any gay people, nor is anyone in my friends or family circle gay. We never talked about these things because they simply don't come up in our daily lives, but that doesn't mean my son and I have no idea who they are, especially after the divorce. I told her this wasn't going to happen and that my son has had plenty of exposure to people from her community. I told her it seemed like a ridiculous reason to separate my son and me, and it felt like she was making up random excuses to justify it. After some arguing, she told me the real reason why she and her partner wanted to adopt my son. The internet is crazy for its prediction abilities, honestly, wow, apparently, they wanted to adopt my son because her wife and she are considering moving to Spain in a few years. I told her she couldn't do that and that the legal framework supports my rights in both countries. She admitted she knew this, which is why they wanted me to sign the adoption papers. I told her she was out of her mind to think I would agree to this. I reminded her that she still needs my permission to take him out of the country, just like when they got married in Spain. I also read a comment yesterday about the update and researched a bit on the laws regarding this, so I know it's not happening. She reiterated that they had done their research and that this was just to see if I would agree. She said that if I agreed, they would consider moving, but if I didn't, they wouldn't because she didn't want to be separated from our son. I emphasized again that this wasn't going to happen and warned her that if she tried anything or said anything to my son, I would sue for full custody. She got upset again and said they just wanted to check with me first. I told her, in what world would you expect me to give you and your wife full custody? First, you divorce me, leave me for a woman, and then expect me to sign over my child and act like nothing happened? I told her that from this point on, we would document everything, every interaction we have, and that if I even get a whiff of her trying to pull something, I would sue for full custody. She seemed a bit scared at the idea of losing full custody. I guess she hadn't really considered me doing that, and she agreed. I then told her to stop painting this picture-perfect queer family because that is not going to happen. Our son has a mom and a dad, with whom he spends equal time. He does not have two moms. He is not her affair partner's son, he is her son and mine. I told her that if she wanted a child with her wife, she could have one on her own. I also mentioned that the courts are more likely to side with me in this case because of her actions, as well as the fact that I work from home and spend more time with him than she and her wife do. I have been trying to help him maintain a stable relationship with both parents since the divorce because I don't want him to resent either of us. However, if she tries to remove me from his life, I will sue for full custody and deal with any resentment he may have as a result. I didn't want to argue anymore, so I left the room. I secretly recorded the conversation because I wanted to have proof in case anything happens in the future. Honestly, I've been very angry at my ex since the divorce. I haven't shown it around her or my son because I don't want her to use this against me in any way, and I've been going to therapy, but I'm still internally angry. The comment she made today about our marriage hurt me even more. I spent 7 years with this woman, and her betrayal still makes me angry to this day. When I got home, I contacted my lawyer friend, and he reiterated that they would have to kidnap him to take him without my permission. I asked if there was anything else we could do, and he said the current agreement is very thorough. We made sure of that. If I want full custody or not is up to me, but I need to be certain that I want to put my son and me through the whole process. I don't want my son to grow up without either of his parents because that is just not healthy for him. That is why I won't sue for full custody right now. If they are stupid enough to try to kidnap him, which I doubt, the law is on my side. I also know her partner's position at their workplace, so I know they are making good money and wouldn't leave it all behind for no reason. As for the passport, I have all his documents, and everything, like travel notifications and hospital visits, is already in the signed custody agreement. We have a solid legal framework in place. I'm not going to sue for full custody now because I don't want that for my son. My ex-wife is still a good mother and loves him, and he enjoys spending time with her. Plus, my son is the type of person to openly voice his concerns to me, so I will know if they continue any nonsense. On a more positive note, I'm not against Spanish lessons, but he doesn't like them. I was just suggesting that he try learning a language he enjoys. There are plenty of options out there. I didn't say this to my ex at the time, but now I realize she was pushing for Spanish because of the Spain thing. Thank you to everyone for your support, it really helped me understand the situation better. Holy crap, though, I hadn't even considered her planning to move to Spain until I read the comments. You guys are amazing at this.